No. Hold up. I gotta copy my camera, I think. Copy. Paste. What's up, chat? Dennis, thank you for the sub. Hello. Episode 42 of the Conservation Cast. I am very excited for today. I love having guests that past guests have recommended to us. It means that we do a good job here, so that's really nice. Our guest today was recommended to us by Dr. David Schiffman, if you guys remember him, who was our last shark guy. He was on the podcast. He was a podcast guest. He was wonderful. So he recommended Jasmin Graham today. We'll be speaking with her and raising money for an organization that she co-founded called MISS, or Minorities in Shark Sciences. The objective of MISS is encouraging women of color to pursue a career in shark sciences. They're working on curating free workshops for people to get field experience, and they seek to promote diversity and inclusion in shark science and encourage women of color to push through barriers and contribute knowledge in marine science. It was a super new organization, like June 2020 new. I know you guys have talked we have talked to, hey, thank you, Andrew. Sorry, I missed that. We've talked to Karina Newsom about the hashtags Black in Nature, Black Birders Week, and that account Black AF in STEM. We talked to her about those on the podcast before, and this organization was inspired by those hashtags. So really cool. I'm super excited to talk to them and bring that conversation to my stream as well. I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to do that recently in the light of everything that's been happening. Omelet, thank you for the $10. Cinny with $5. Koopa Steve with $77.77. Your donations are going straight to Minorities in Shark Sciences today, and it's a super tangible donation goal as well. We'll talk to Jasmine about what they're doing with that money, but they have several phases that are outlined on their website that you can get to by doing command org. Thank you for the subs, appreciate it. You can look at those goals by going through their website. Oh, that's funny, sorry. Okay, another thing that I'm hoping that we get to talk about today with Jasmine is sawfish. We have yet to talk about sawfish ever on the podcast or on my stream at all, but they're really cool. What, Dobbins? So Jasmin Graham, okay, so I already told you that she co-founded with 3 other women Minorities in Shark Sciences. Zach, thank you for the $15. She also is a project coordinator at the Marine Science Laboratory Alliance Center of Excellence, and she has done research in conservation biology focusing on conservation of coastal species. She uses satellite and acoustic telemetry to track the movements of adult and juvenile small-toothed sawfish in the U.S. To identify critical habitats in areas of high concentration to better understand the species. They're listed as critically endangered and are on the listed on the U.S. Endangered Species Act. Whoa, Warber with $20. KZ with $17.77, and Crowway with $6. Thank you for your donations. So hopefully we'll get to talk about an SMK with $20. Thank you. We'll get to talk to her about sawfish today. We'll get to talk to her about sharks. We'll get to talk to her about diversity and inclusion. It'll be a cool podcast. If you have not been to this podcast before, you are welcome to ask a question. You can do that by doing #ask followed by your question. There's nothing else fancy that you need to put in there. There's a bot, so it'll send it to a document where I can read out those questions. Today, we do have pictures and a video that Jasmine has sent over. So we're going to go through those first, similar to how we did at the last podcast. So there may be a little bit less time for questions. We won't get to all of them, but it'll be cool to look at those. And Lucid. Hello? Lucid the creator with $300. What? Omelet with $25. Lucid. Thank you for the $300 donation. What the heck? An omelet with 25. We've hit our $500 goal. Okay, brilliant. Oh my god. Okay. What was I talking about? Okay. Other thing about the podcast. It's an hour-long conversation. By the time I call her, it's like a 45-minute long conversation. We talk about the pictures she sent. We'll talk about her background. We'll talk about her research. We'll talk about sharks and sawfish and the organization and how cool it is. And at the end of the podcast, there will be a quiz based on our conversation. The way that the quiz works is there's 5 questions, 20 seconds per question. The way that you win the quiz is you have to get the most answers right the fastest. If you win and you're already subbed to my channel, I will gift you a sub to a channel of your choice. If you are not already subbed, I will gift you a sub to my channel. If you win and you are not subbed and you would rather I donate an additional $5 to Miss, you can pick that as well. I went a little off script there and messed up the... What the heck? I feel like I should be worried. I don't know why, but I'm scared. Like, Lucid with $800. Thank you for the $800. Hugo, thank you for the 4 months. These donations are going straight to Miss today. Again, if you want to see more about Miss, you can do Command Org. It'll take you to their website. You can follow their socials on there as well. They're on Twitter and Instagram. And then if you want to follow Jasmin's Twitter, you can do Command Guest to find her there. Okay, $1,001. Am I missing anything before I call Jasmin? We already have some good questions. All right. Jeez Louise. Let's call her. Give me a second. Liam with $10. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, chat. Tell me about Tara. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna mess with these alerts, but you can chat. Tell me about the audio. Is the audio okay? Is everything working? I know that the cameras are messed up. I will fix them. Hold on. Audio's good. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go ahead and start, even though I have my screens messed up a little bit, but I will sort them out while we're talking. We have raised $1,011 in the 10-minute intro that has gone straight to Miss. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your organization, that would be wonderful.
Yes. Hello. My name is Jasmin Graham, and I am a co-founder of Miss. And our organization, Miss, stands for Minorities in Shark Sciences, and we are dedicated to supporting women of color that are interested in shark science. And we do that a couple of different ways. One of the ways is building community. So we currently have 137 members from 15 different countries. And we all are connected with each other now. We know each other exists. being in this field, it can be very isolating because it feels like you're the only person that looks like you. So knowing that there's 136 other people out there going through the same thing all over the world is really great. And so we have community, we have meetings where we get together and we talk and we network, and we work on collaborating on projects, citing each other, building each other up, amplifying each other's voices. And then we also are really passionate about eliminating the financial barrier that has kept a lot of people of color out of marine science for a really long time. Mm-hmm. So in marine science, unfortunately, there are a lot of times where you have to volunteer your time and work for free. And sometimes you even have to pay the people that you're working for space on the boat and things like that. So it can get really expensive really quickly. And that makes it very inaccessible to a lot of people.
Right.
And so part of what we're doing is trying to eliminate that financial barrier by providing scholarships for people that'll pay them while they're doing these internship programs, covering travel and food and housing and board and everything for all of these experiences so that people can access them and not have to worry about how they're going to pay for it.
That's awesome.
So that's the two big things we do. And then we're also working to help change the culture of marine science and shark science in particular by doing things like ally trainings, by working with societies like the American Elasmobranch Society and other shark conservation organizations to make sure that they're being inclusive and that we are considering equity in science at all times, at all facets, at all levels. And so we do a lot with partnering with those institutions and groups to help them make sure that they are being inclusive in their practices, and they establish things like codes of conduct and talk about things and don't just sweep things under the rug.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. Would you mind lowering your camera a little bit, like tilting? I don't know if it's a laptop or something, but perfect. That's better. Thank you. Cool. So we're at $1,016.54. We had a big donation come in of $800 from Lucid, so that's what got us to our goal so quickly. But you guys have a couple goals on your website you have a couple phases. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so phase one was raising money to have 2 workshops. So we're partnering with the Field School in Miami, and we're actually having 2 workshops where we're going to have women of color who are interested in shark science that haven't gotten research experience and just really want to get their foot in the door in the field. We're having these workshops. We're actually going to take all of these women out on a boat on a research vessel called the Garvin off the coast of Miami to do shark tagging. So they get hands-on experience with what it's like in the fields, tagging sharks,
That's awesome.
Identifying sharks, and then we'll also be doing professional developments and things in the evening. All of the women will be staying on board the vessel with us. And so that will be a whole experience where they're learning not only the science, but the skills and also professional development and getting to network. So that was phase one, which we were able to raise money for very quickly, which was really exciting.
Yes,
and so
I saw that.
We're already moving into phase 2, which is reaching out to K through 12 and reaching back behind and, making sure that kids are getting exposed to marine science and shark science early on. And so right now we're raising money to host a summer camp for children that are in communities that don't typically have access to things like this. So we're really wanting to get the word out, people that don't live on the coast, people that are from low-income communities, underserved communities, and making sure that they have access to things like summer camps that showcase marine science, and we'll work with them to do some hands-on science as well. to get them excited about STEM, which is something that we're obviously very, very passionate about. That passion grows when you're a child. And there's a lot of people that don't even know that you can be a marine scientist when they're growing up and they're thinking about, what do I want to be when I grow up? And so we want to make sure that they know that this is something they can do, and it's something exciting, and it's great to be out in nature, and nature is for everyone.
That's so cool. I love that. Chad, thank you for your questions. We'll get to them in a little bit. So how long have you been in shark sciences? How did you get into shark science?
I've been in shark science for 7 years. I got into shark science kind of actually by accident. So I grew up and was around water a lot. My dad's family is from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so he's from a coastal city. And so we would go visit my grandmother and all of my dad's side of the family a lot. And so I was around the ocean a lot. But I didn't really have the science background. So my family, they fish. They get most of their food from seafood. And so I was used to, fishing and going out with my dad and being on fishing pier and fishing and things like that. But I started to have these questions of, what do the fish do in the water?
Yeah.
I know that we cast our lines out and we catch fish, but why are they here? Why are they all right here? That seems silly. Why are they hanging out in places where people are fishing? So I had a lot of questions about that, questions that my family couldn't answer, that they just kind of encouraged me to go look it up. And so I would go to encyclopedias, and that's kind of where my love of oceans and also my curiosity of having a question and wanting to figure out the answer, which is basically what science is. So that's kind of how that grew. And then I was sent to a marine science camp. My parents saved up money to send me to this marine science camp when I was in 8th grade, which is one of the reasons why I feel like marine science camps are so important, because before this, I didn't know that you could do marine science as a job. So I went to the camp and I found out that marine science could be a career, and that you could get paid to ask questions and answer them and be out on boats and do all of this cool stuff. And so I came back from that saying, I want to be a marine scientist. And so I ended up going to college at the College of Charleston for marine biology. And I met, while I was there, a professor named Dr. Gavin Naylor, and he's a shark biologist. And I didn't know anything about sharks. I wasn't particularly interested in sharks, but his excitement and everything that he was telling me about, and he was like, oh, and there's these really cool things about sharks and blah, 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 blah. And I kind of got excited by osmosis. And so I was like, yeah, I believe it. Sharks are cool.
Yeah.
And so after that conversation, he said, well, if I have a position in my lab, I'll email you. And so he emailed me the next semester saying that he had a spot for me to participate in a research experience for undergraduates. And he said, you should apply. And I said, okay, great. And I applied and I participated in this research experience, which is a paid opportunity, which is also one of the reasons why I feel it's very important to have paid opportunities, because I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't paid. And so I worked with him for a summer, and it was just, I clicked with sharks. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I love it. And I just continued working in his lab. I started that project the summer after my freshman year, and I worked on that same project for the rest of my college career.
Wow.
And I was actually able to do a bachelor's essay, which had multiple chapters and was pretty extensive. And right now I'm working on getting that work published, actually. So I'm very fortunate that I had someone that kind of told me about shark science and was passionate about it and was able to support me financially to be able to do that research, and that has been supporting me continually and was actually able to connect me with the person that later became my master's advisor and So I've just kind of just been going full force since then on shark science.
That's cool. Are the pictures that you sent here, are those from that research experience? You with the guy with the long hair and the hat? Is this different?
No, that's from my master's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The ones with all of the colorful skeleton structures.
Oh, yes.
Those are the ones.
Oh.
So I actually did a project on hammerhead sharks and trying to figure out how they were related to each other. So there's 10 species of hammerheads. We don't yet know how they're all related to each other. And so I was looking at that, and I did that with DNA, and then also by looking at their bodies, at their anatomy. And so I was able to CT scan them and then basically do like a digital dissection of them, which is
so cool.
way that you can look at museum specimens without actually cutting into them. And so I don't have to go out and sacrifice sharks to cut open. I can just look at the museum specimens and scan them in a CT scan and see the same thing.
Is that the video that you sent as well, showing that process? Okay, let me pull that up too, because that was so cool. I was watching it, but I wasn't sure what was happening. So I would love for you to be able to explain it better than I could to them. Check this out. Okay, I'm playing the video here.
It's basically, you'll see that I have like the whole head, and then I'm gonna basically delete everything except for the two structures that I was looking at. And so what I do is I go in and I had to obviously learn shark anatomy very well to be able to do this. Right. So I can identify what structures I'm looking at and be able to isolate the ones that I'm interested in. And then I save that file and I basically repeat that process over and over and over again until I actually have a layer for every single structure in that shark. So it takes me, so that video that you're watching is actually real time. That's actually how long it took me to pull out those two structures there.
Wow.
It typically takes, depending on how clean the scan is, because some scans come out better than others, it usually took me between 6 and 20 hours to do.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. What kind of shark skull is this that we're looking at?
I don't actually remember. I can't see the video.
Oh no, that's fine. We got a few more donations. Oh, wait. Big donations. Jeez. Omelet with $9. Lots with 50. Gabby with 30. Thank you. Omelet with 25. CPT with 20. That brings us to $1,150. Thank you guys for those donations. That's crazy. Okay, so this video is so interesting. I've never seen anything like this. You've also done research with sawfish.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay, I'm so interested in asking you about that because we've never really had the chance to talk about them on this stream, but they're so cool and I know nothing about them.
They are so cool. That is true. They are the coolest. So sawfish are like obviously called sawfish because they have these giant noses that look like saws on the front of their face.
Right.
So a lot of people, their first question is, what's up with the saw? Why do they have the saw?
Yes.
So they use the saw for a lot of different things. So one thing that people don't realize is they use it to sense their prey. And so you can kind of think of it like a little fish detector. So they have all of these sensory organs all along the nose or the rostrum. That's the scientific term for it. That saw. They have all of these sensory organs. So whenever they swim over, the seagrass or the bottom of the ocean, and there's little animals, camouflaged, hiding, but they actually can sense them. They can sense their movement and their electric charge coming off of them.
Really?
So that's how they can see the fish without actually seeing them.
That's amazing.
And then they also use it to hunt with. So they'll actually swim into schools of fish and just slash
Oh my gosh.
And they swim the fish. Yeah, because you can they swing these rostrum very fast, super fast.
Yeah.
And so getting whacked with one of those, the fish are stunned, they're injured, and then they swim back through and they basically just swallow all of the injured, stunned fish.
Oh my
So
gosh.
the teeth that they have in their actual mouths are basically just little plates. They don't actually chew their food, they swallow it whole. And so basically the saw just lets them whack the fish so that they aren't swimming away, and then they just swim back through and they just swallow them.
Wow. How long are we? Oh my gosh. Echo with the $100, Monkaroo with $50. Thank you guys. How long are they typically? Because you sent a picture of one and it's bigger than I thought that they were.
Yeah, they get to be really big. So the small-toothed sawfish, which is the species that I study, can be can grow up to 16 feet long.
Oh my gosh, that's way bigger than I thought. Wow.
Yeah, they are ginormous. I think the one, if it's the one I'm thinking of that you have the picture of, was about 14 feet, I think.
Wow.
If I'm remembering the one I sent you.
Yes. And then, so they're also critically endangered. What are the threats that they face? Why are they having such a hard time?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So the first being habitat loss. So they use the mangroves, which are trees that grow on the coastline. They use those when they're babies to hide in the roots. So the roots of these trees actually like grow out into the water. And the little baby sawfish, because when they're born, they're really small. I don't know if I sent you the picture of the baby sawfish.
I don't think so.
But when they're born, they're really small. They're like this big. And they will actually hide in those roots to avoid predators, avoid being eaten. And so those mangrove shorelines are super important to them. And unfortunately, due to climate change and developing the coastlines and redistributing the fresh water by building dams and things like that, our mangroves are in decline. And so they don't have this habitat that they need when they're babies. Another big thing is fishing. So they get caught in commercial fishing a lot because they have those big long saws with those teeth coming off of them. They're really prone to getting wrapped up in gill nets and shrimp trawls and things like that. And they actually get so wrapped up that it's pretty much fatal for them if they get caught in a shrimp trawl, because the weight of all of the things in the net being dragged through the water will actually like break off their saw and crush them and things like that. And so they don't usually survive that. So yeah, getting caught accidentally in commercial fishing is a problem. And then there's also the issue in the past, which is kind of still an issue now, of people when they catch them, they kill them to take the saw to hang on their walls and things like that for decoration. So there was a lot of poaching and, killing the animals for the trophy and stuff like that.
That's crazy. That's so sad. I was recommended you by Dr. David Schiffman. He came on the podcast and we learned about the conservation risks that sharks were facing. James with $100. Oh my gosh. James with $100 and health points with 15. Health points said, as a minority pursuing a degree in marine biology, I absolutely love this topic. Thanks for the amazing topic. Yay. And then James said, this is so cool to listen to. I have the team watching you. So, right. Thank you. We're at $1,415. Thank you guys for those donations. Danza, thank you for $20. My gosh. Yeah, so Dr. Schiffman told us about the conservation issues that sharks were facing, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't know about what's going on with sharks, and definitely don't know about what's going on with sawfish. I mean, I know that I know very little, but I'm glad that you're here today to tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a bunch of questions that have been asked in that chat. I said before I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but there are a few that I've seen that may fit into our conversation. already. Super Samrock asked, are sawfish more of a shark or a ray?
Sawfish are rays. So one of the ways that you can tell if something is a shark or a ray is you look at their mouth and their gills.
Mm-hmm.
If their mouth and their gills are on the bottom, they are rays.
Okay.
If their gills are on the side and their mouth is in front, they are sharks. So sawfish are super weird, not just because they have this giant saw on their face, but also because they're a ray that looks kind of like a shark.
Yeah.
So they're really flat like rays. They have their mouth and gills on the bottom. So yeah, they're rays. But then when you look at the bottom half of them, they have dorsal fins and they have a tail like a shark. So that's weird.
It is. They do look very sharky.
Yeah, they're like this weird hybrid animal. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to sawfish is they're just so interesting looking. And you look at them and you say, they're obviously doing something really special because nothing else looks like them. So obviously the role that they play in the ecosystem is very specific.
Right.
Because there's nothing else that looks like that. So obviously they're doing something that all of the other animals aren't doing.
Yeah, totally.
So that's one of the reasons why I think it's super important to protect them. A lot of times we have animals go extinct and they go extinct right underneath our noses and we don't realize how important they are until they're gone. And then the ecosystem's thrown out of whack and you're like, how did that happen?
Right.
I don't know what's going on. And so it's really important to be aware of these things and to really push for your policymakers and things like that to try and protect them, not only with laws, but also with enforcing those laws and putting their money where their mouth is and not just saying, hey, don't do that, but having real punishments for people that are doing things like illegally poaching and killing sawfish and things like that.
Right. Wujito, thank you for the $20. So one of the things that you do in your research is use telemetry to track the sawfish. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And are those the pictures that you sent? What that is? There's a picture of you sitting with, I don't even know, it's like a black cylinder thing with a little laptop.
Yeah, that's our receivers.
Cool.
Yeah. So telemetry, there's two different types that I use. There's satellite and there's acoustic. And so the satellite, like the name implies, uses satellites. And so we actually put tags on the outside of the sawfish and we have the tags so they kind of like float behind them. And so when they're at the surface, they'll transmit information to the satellite about where they are, what their location is. And it's also tracking the entire time. It's estimating where they are based on light and temperature and things like that. And so after a certain number of days, it'll actually detach from the sawfish and float up to the surface. And it'll share all of that data that it's been recording in the tag.
Oh, how cool.
And so that's one way that we track the sawfish. And then we also do acoustic telemetry, which is where we actually surgically implant a little transmitter that's about that big into the belly of the sawfish. And these tags, they have batteries that last between 5 and 10 years. And so we can track them for a long time. And with those, anytime they swim near one of our receivers, the little black cylinder things you have in the picture, those are, we sink them to the bottom, and we have a whole bunch all over the place. Other researchers have a bunch. There's thousands of receivers all along the coast of Florida alone. And anytime a sawfish swims near one of those, it will ping, and it'll say, oh, there's a sawfish here, and it'll keep recording until the sawfish leaves the area. So it'll actually tell us when the sawfish showed up in the area, how long it stayed, did it come back, how soon after did it come back, all of those things, which we can get by diving down and picking up the receivers. And then, like you see in the picture, we link it to a computer and we download all of the data directly off the receiver, and then we put it back down on the bottom.
That's awesome. One of, XG asked, once you tag one, how long can you track it for? You said 5 to 10 years?
The acoustic tags, it's 5 to 10 years. With the satellite tags, it's 60 to 150 days.
Okay. Omelet with $45. That brought us to $1,500. Thank you guys for those donations. That's awesome. So why is it important to do that tracking? Is it just so you know where they live so you can better protect that habitat, or are there other reasons for that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important to know where they live, where they're spending their time. We actually found out that they migrate. And so we're like, well, where do they go whenever they leave? And so those are the things we're trying to figure out. We knew a lot more about the little sawfish because they kind of stayed in one area, mostly in the Everglades, and this area called Charlotte Harbor. Those two places are in Florida, in South Florida. But then when they got big, they would disappear. And we'd be like, well, why don't we see any big sawfish in the Everglades? Where do they go? And so that's where my research came in, where we were tagging the big sawfish to see where they went, because obviously we want to know where they're spending a lot of time so that we can protect those areas. And then also I look at that data and I compare it to where the commercial fishermen are fishing. And so if one of the big threats is being caught accidentally in commercial fishing, it's important to know what areas the sawfish and the commercial fishermen overlap, because those are the danger zones that we need to be worried about, be concerned about. And it's also important to know when the sawfish are there, because obviously we don't want to unnecessarily shut down the commercial fishermen, because that's their job, that's their livelihood, has huge economic impacts. But if we can find out that the sawfish are only there in this one little part of the year, then we can do things like, okay, we'll just say you can't fish in that area for X amount of time while the sawfish are there, but you can fish any other time. Yeah. And so we're just trying to figure out where are the areas where the sawfish are most at risk, and how can we balance protecting the sawfish with also protecting the economy that's driven by the commercial fishermen.
Okay, very cool. That makes sense. Okay, we have so many questions about sawfish. This is so cool. Let's see. SMK asked, how do they benefit their ecosystem? I know that you said that they're pretty niche because they're so different, but it's a pretty broad question.
Yeah, so they do a lot of hunting, and they do a lot of kind of what we call apex predators when they're adults. And so they are at the top of the food chain as adults. Nothing eats them. And so what that means is that they are controlling everything below them. So they're making sure that certain fish populations don't grow out of control. And they also do things like weed out the slow fish. They're capable of going into really, really shallow water because they're so flat. So you're probably not going to see a giant hammerhead in 2 feet of water, but it's highly likely that you could see a 16-foot long sawfish in 2 feet of water.
Wow.
They can go up in areas that other animals can't. And so they're eating things similar to what sharks are eating, but because of the way their body is shaped, they're able to hunt in different areas that sharks can't get to. And so that's something that's really interesting about them. They actually can go in and they actually hang out in super shallow water. People have seen them and called us and reported seeing them. Just they're riding their bikes along the shore or something, and they just see this giant sawfish just sitting in the water, just right there, by the land. They're not even in, like, the people they're not even like in the boat. They're just like walking on a trail, and they look down and there's just a sawfish in like 2 feet of water just hanging out.
I can't imagine if you weren't familiar with a sawfish or you'd never seen one, like what your reaction would be to seeing this in the water. They look so crazy. What's their vision like? This is my question. Nobody asked that. I'm just interested.
Their vision is pretty standard. They don't see super well, but they're not like blind. They have, normal level of vision.
Okay, and then somebody else asked, so do sawfish have any predators besides humans? So not really, or no?
Not when they're adults. When they're babies, then sharks eat them. And crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles also eat them. But.
Oh, I see. Roasted also asked, do people still avidly poach sawfish, or is it less of a problem? I think you mentioned that earlier as well.
Yeah, it is less of a problem, but we have several people that are on what's called the sawfish recovery team, and a couple of them, their job is just to watch eBay and social media and things like that to see if anyone tries to sell any sawfish rostrum.
Yeah.
Because it's illegal to sell in many states, not all states. There are some states where it's totally legal to sell pieces of sawfish, which is a problem that we're working on.
Really?
But
you'd think because of the Endangered Species Act that wouldn't be a thing. That's so bizarre.
Yeah, you would think. But the Endangered Species Act says that you can't fish for them on purpose, and then it leaves the states up to decide about the sell of things. But I'm like, okay, well, where do you think they got it from? That's silly.
I just found it. Yeah, with $30, floppy with 50, Bradders with 50, or at $1,630 dollars. Thank you guys so much. So many donations today. It's crazy. It's going super fast. Another question. Banana asked, how many sawfish are left in the world?
We don't know. That's a good question. We're trying to figure that out. Not as many as there were. So people have estimated that the small-toothed sawfish population in the United States has decreased to 5% of what it once was.
Geez.
That's a lot of mathematical things, but we don't know. We have no idea. This is all just us making scientific guesses based off of what we're finding, but they're so rare and so hard to find that it's really hard for us to get accurate counts of how many there are, but there are not a lot at all. To give you an idea, so I know where the sawfish are. I know what they eat. I know how to catch them, and I will fish for 5 days sometimes and catch 2.
Okay.
So they're really rare. Even when I know, I study where they move, I should know exactly where they are, and they're still super hard for me to find. That means that there's definitely not a lot of them. In the United States, we used to have 2 species of sawfish, the small-toothed sawfish and the large-toothed sawfish. We actually lost the large-toothed sawfish entirely. We don't have any more large-toothed sawfish in the United States. They've gone locally extinct. They exist other places in the world, but we've lost them entirely in the United States, which is super unfortunate. That
sucks. I'm pulling up pictures of the 2 of them so they can see. What's the is it like a size difference in length, or does it have to do with the rostrum?
So they're called large tooth and small tooth because the size of their teeth on their rostrum is different. That's where their common names came from.
Yeah, very cool. Zona, thank you for the $20. Looking to do something around coral reef restoration after my enlistment is up, and sharks are a huge part of the ecosystem. Good for you. So, okay, you mentioned fishing for 5 days. One of the things that I like to ask my guests, because I always have questions like, where's the what? B but us, what changes can I make to help with marine conservation? Zeta asked, how difficult is it to get into the shark conservation, marine conservation field? So I like to ask the question of what is a day in the field like? Like, what is your day-to-day life like if you're doing that research?
Day-to-day life in the field. So it looks like waking up early before the sun is up and getting all of your gear, checking all of your equipment, making sure that you have all of the vials and things that you need to collect your samples, making sure you have all of your tags, making sure your tags work, because, oh my goodness, you do not want to put a $7,000 tag on a fish and have it swim away and then realize that it's not collecting data. That's a bummer. So we get all of our equipment ready, load up the boat. We're usually pulling out of the dock as the sun is rising. We get on our locations that we're fishing at. We cut up our bait. We set our long lines, which are literally long lines. They have 50 different hooks on them. And we put our bait on there, and we set 2 lines in the area, and then we wait for an hour to see what we're going to catch. And then after an hour, we start pulling the line up, and we work up all of the animals that we get. So what a workup looks like is, if it's a small shark, we bring it on the front of the boat and we put it in this little measuring trough, and we take measurements. Sometimes we take fin clips, which is basically just cutting the little tip off of their little pelvic fins. That's how we get genetics. We get genetics from their little tips of their fins. And then sometimes we'll collect blood, and we use the blood to look at hormone levels to determine if they are mating or pregnant, or just had a baby or something like that, if they're mature, if they're immature. We also use it for stress, to look at how stressed the animals are, and stuff like that. And then sometimes we'll take a biopsy, which is a little piece of muscle. So we make a little incision right underneath their dorsal fin. And then we put this little thing in there and we scoop out a little bit of their muscle. And so that allows us to check how much toxins are in them. So there's a lot of toxins, a lot of pollution in the water. And so we want to check and make sure that the levels aren't, crazy. So we're monitoring the levels of toxins in sharks by doing that.
Okay.
And then we will tag them, and then we'll take the hooks out and we'll throw them back in the water. And that that whole process takes 1 to 2 minutes.
Wow. Oh, so after you catch them, you're really, so just the least amount of stress possible, you just go really fast. That's awesome.
Yeah, we go really fast. We have a system. Everyone knows their job. So if my job is holding the tail, I'm holding the tail. I'm taking the fin clip while I'm holding the tail. Person taking blood is taking blood. Person tagging is tagging. We're all doing this at the same time simultaneously. And we're yelling out the measurements so that the data taker can write it down, and we get them back in the water, because sharks can't breathe air.
Right.
I don't know if everyone is aware of that. So whenever they are not in the water, they aren't breathing.
Chad, I made sure to tell her before the podcast, because I tell all my guests just in general, assume that they don't really know anything about what we're going to talk about. Just talk to them like that. So there you go, in case you didn't know. That's funny. By the way, I think it's so cool that in your skills section on your website, you have shark handling. That's so cool. I can't imagine being that cool. Okay, I think that I've pulled up all the pictures. I think, chat. I hope that I did that in good enough context so you guys understood what was going on. But those were great. Thank you for sending those.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have time for some more questions, I think, here. There have been a few questions about how strong their rostrums are and if they ever break. So I know that you said that they break in nets sometimes. And then someone also asked if they fight each other with their rostrums, or if males fight each other. I can't find the question, but yeah. So does that happen?
So their rostrum can break. They, like I said, they break off in nets specifically. We don't think that they just break off naturally. There's not a lot of things that give enough force in the right direction to break it off naturally, but they definitely get broken in nets. We see it a lot, actually. Yes, they use their rostrum for defense. So they will defend themselves by swinging it. As someone that often is disrupting a sawfish by tagging it and measuring it, they use it for defense. They will swing it at you, and you got to watch out because they swing it really fast.
Yeah.
Their teeth will break off. If they hit something really hard, their teeth will break off, and it's not like sharks' teeth. In fact, they're not even really teeth. They're actually scales, but that's a complicated thing. But they'll break off. And they'll keep growing as long as they didn't break all the way off. So it's kind of like your fingernail. Like, your fingernail will grow if you cut it, but like if you were to rip the fingernail out, that's not going to come back.
Yeah.
So it's like that. And so we will have teeth in the side of our boat from where they've like out our boat. And I mean, boats are made of plexiglass. So it's strong enough to get into the plexiglass and just like stick there. And so we'll have some teeth just like in the side of our boat because they got mad. So yeah, we've caught sharks that have little puncture wounds all along their side. And you're like, ooh, you made a sawfish mad.
Jasmin, you're in the water with this thing. I have a picture of you in the water with the sawfish. What is the restraint process like, or how do you? I don't know.
So
how do you manage that when you're in the water?
The most important thing is the dangerous swinging saw of death.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to get that restrained first.
Right.
So the first thing that we do is we kind of like lasso that and get that under control. And then once you have the swingy part under control, it's like smooth sailing. Because they don't have teeth, so they're not going to bite you. They might whack you with their tail, which is unfortunate, but like that's the only part you really got to worry about, like doing serious damage.
Yeah.
And so once we've got that part under control, then we just kind of ease ourselves up to it and wrap its tail up so that we can lay it flat. And that's when we start working it up once we get it flat. And usually they're pretty calm until sometimes they freak out when you flip them over because they're like, I don't want to be flipped over, which is understandable. I wouldn't want an alien to flip me over either.
Yeah,
but
same.
Usually they're fine until you go to do something like whenever we do the biopsy, sometimes they'll flinch. That's the only part really that they feel. And so they might buck a little bit. They just go, wah! What was that? But most of the time they're pretty calm, especially if you can keep them in the water, laying flat. They're like, okay, I feel okay about this. If you start like pulling them or stretching them or trying to turn them in a way that they're like, I don't want to move, I just want to sit here, then they get a little angry. But once you get them, they're fine. We usually have this thing that we say whenever we're pulling them up on the line is you don't let their eyes see the surface until you get the rostrum under control, because as soon as they see you, they freak out.
Yeah.
Because before that, they're like, I don't know what's pulling me. This is weird. And then they're like, there's people.
Yeah.
I hate you. I'm going to smash you.
Okay. Jeez, that's crazy. Danny with $11.50, Bradders with $14, Stretchy with $5. We've gotten to $1,705. Thank you. So we have a couple minutes left here. I think a good way to close it out, and one of the questions that I like to ask often, I guess it's a two-part question for this podcast. One, what is it that the average person can do to support shark conservation if they're not out there in the field, if they're not like in marine biology? And then the second one, what can the average person do to support not just minorities in shark sciences, but diversity and inclusion in the field?
So the first part of that question, things that you can do, you can pay attention to what's going on in the news and everything like that. If you have local politicians or whoever that are talking about making changes to conservation practices and protections, read up on those. Really push for those ones that you want to see that are going to protect the marine ecosystems, and then push back whenever people talk about rolling those protections back or taking them away or not enforcing them and things like that. So using your voice to say like, no, I care about this ecosystem out here in the marine world. We should protect it because Obviously, they represent you, so let your voice be known that you care and you want them to be protected. And then other things you can do is just monitoring your own behavior and making sure that you're living in a way that's sustainable. So lots of pollution ends up in the ocean from runoff and things like that. So making sure that you're being mindful of that, debris, litter, things that I always tell people, the balloons. I have a sad thing about balloons because I work in the Everglades, which is supposedly this like really pristine, well-protected area. And I pull balloons out of the water every time I go down there.
Really?
And it's really sad and it makes me very upset. So what goes up must come down, people. So like you can tell people you love them without a balloon, plant a tree, give them a flower, something like that.
Yeah.
So just making sure that you're being mindful of your use of plastics and things like that. We have found plastics in sharks. There's all sorts of toxins in sharks that come from us. And also, if you're eating seafood, just being mindful of where your seafood comes from, if it's being caught sustainably, ask questions. Where did this fish come from? When was it caught? Where was it caught? Were they doing it in a sustainable way? Things like that. And then products that you use. So there's some products, especially cosmetics, that use a ingredient called squalene, which is from shark's liver. So if you have a lotion or something and you look at the ingredients and it says squalene, that came from a shark. So a shark died to make that lotion. So just be mindful of that in the products you buy. If you have the luxury of having a choice of what to use, then I would recommend using the thing that doesn't involve killing a shark. So obviously not everyone has those options. Not everyone has options that don't have squalene in it. But if you do have the option, go for the one with the plant-based squalene or like the alternative ingredient.
Okay, good to know. Good info. And then the second part to that question, if you wouldn't mind.
Helping out with diversity and inclusion. Ways that you can help is whenever you see scientists on TV, if you don't see everyone represented, say something. You are the consumer. You are the one buying the products. You are the one watching the TV show. So call people out. Say like, I want to see scientists that look like this. I want to see why does everyone look the same? All scientists don't look like that. I want to see other people. You can support organizations that are dedicated to diversity and inclusion. You can also support people in your life. So if you have someone in your life that is feeling like science isn't for them because they don't see themselves in science, encourage them and say, no, you belong in science just as much as everyone else, and help them and tell them that they can do it. There's a lot of people that say a lot of ignorant things, especially to kids. Like where you have little girls that are digging through dirt at the beach and someone comes up to them and says, oh, don't get dirty or something like that. That's bad. That tells girls being a girl means I can't ever get dirty and I can't play in the dirt and I can't go in the ocean and I can't do this. No, don't ever tell someone that they can't do something. Girls belong in science. Girls should play in the dirt. Don't say to someone like being Black and growing up, it was always like, don't get your hair wet or whatever. Just make sure that you are using inclusive language and you're using supportive language, especially for young people, because if you're an adult or you're an older person, they are really going to take what you say to heart. When I was in middle school, I was in a science magnet program, and I had a friend who was in the program with me, and she had an adult in her life tell her that guys weren't going to like her if she was too smart. And she dropped that. she dropped out of the magnet program and she did not pursue science because of that adult saying that to her. So just think about what you say. Like, don't say things that discourage people. Like, that's so bad.
All right.
Be encouraging.
Well, that is good advice. There you go. I hope none of you would say something like that. But that's cool, just to be mindful of our own choices. Rob Dog with $20 and Joey with $10. That's brought us to $1,735 so far. That is Conch with $11. Thank you. So $1,746.83. I will let you know the final amount once I do this outro and close everything up here. But thank you so much for coming on. I know it was a lot of sawfish stuff. We got kind of carried away talking about that, but it's all so interesting, and I know they love learning about that. So thank you for that, for your information and your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. If you guys want to follow Jasmin, you can do Command Guest. If you want to check out more about Miss, you can do Command Org. Follow Miss's socials as well if they're on Twitter and Instagram. And they post some good information. So if you're looking to stay up to date, that's a good place to go as well. So cool. Well, I will be in touch with you soon. I'll send you some of the analytics so you can get a feel for what the reach was for the podcast, and then I'll send you the final donation amount, and that'll do it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Bye. Hooray! That was so cool. She was so nice. She was so nice. Jeez. Oh my gosh. A bounty just expired within 6 minutes. We have a bounty group and they just said there was a bounty 6 minutes ago and it's already gone. Dang it. Okay. Cool. So, Jasmin is wonderful. That was really cool. Sawfish are sick. And I didn't know about the bounty group. It's not like, it's just a group DM where if there's a bounty, it says bounty. I didn't know anything about sawfish. All I knew is what they looked like. And I also, thank you. I didn't know about I don't want to say it wrong. Longtooth sawfish being locally extinct. Yeah, thank you for the $3.17 fixed $1,750. Huge donations today. Chat, like, huge. Thank you so much. Yes, Andrew. Thank you guys for Koopa, thank you for the 5. Thank you guys for donating. Thank you for watching. I know the podcast is a little bit later today. But if you have been here, I appreciate you being here. This was really neat. I just can't get over every guest we have is so cool. They're so interesting and they get so excited about talking about what they study. You know what I mean? It's just contagious. I love it so much. What's the total for all money raised for orgs now? The site isn't updated, but what's on the site is for the podcast. I think it's 48K, but we're 6 episodes behind. On my channel, it's well over 100K, but I don't know what the actual number is right now. So, big time. I will have the site updated soon. I need to, maybe about 54K. It wouldn't surprise me. I need to do summaries for the website and get them archived on there, so they'll go up there. Not if you're here live, you probably aren't looking for that, but I will do that, I swear. Okay, so $1,750. Absolutely insane. I also love it when I have the email so that it goes straight to their PayPal. It makes it so much easier for me. Snoodles with $100. $100. $1,850 straight to minorities in shark sciences. I also so appreciate every time we've had a conversation like this that has to do with diversity or inclusion in the field. You guys are so supportive about the conversation, and it's so great, and I appreciate that so much. I know this is like a super niche thing. Minorities in shark sciences is pretty niche, but you guys are wonderful about like, yeah, just like cheering and being excited about that. So thank you for letting me bring that to my platform, because I think it's an important conversation to have. All right, Chuck has been so kind as to write questions about the conversation that I had with Jasmin just now. There is a quiz. We will do a quiz. 5 questions, 20 seconds per question. You win the quiz by getting the most questions correct the fastest. If you win the quiz, if you're not already a sub to my channel, I will gift you a sub. No, to my channel. If you are already a sub, I will gift you a sub to a channel of your choice, or you can ask me to donate an additional $5 to Miss today instead. Also, thank you for all your questions. I know I don't get to them. I will read the questions beforehand. Let me open this up so I can do this as fast as possible. Am I missing anything? I feel like there's usually something that I say after the podcast. I always just talk about how great the guest was. Do I ever talk about other things? Am I missing something? Or am I ready to make the quiz? The classic thing? I say that at the end. We gotta wait for that one. Alright, I am going to create this quiz. It's gonna take a couple minutes. Enable access. Thank you. For the quiz, you have to enable access. Here's a little graphic to do it on your PC or on mobile. If you don't enable access, I will not know who you are. Cal linked it, so you can't win if you don't do that. If you don't do that, you'll show up as contestant number whatever, so it won't matter if you win. So make sure that you do that. I will be back in a couple minutes, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I just have to copy paste these questions into the quiz, and give me a second. I will be back. Dance. Bye. Quiz time. Let's go. Okay. I am going to read the questions while I'm... How do I put this? Go. No. In there. How do I put a tab? Oh, there. Okay. I'm going to read the questions before they show up. Are you ready? Okay, the first question. How does a sawfish's saw or rostrum detect prey? Where's my... What the heck? My extension. Here we go. Okay, give me a second. I don't see it. It hasn't popped up yet. It's sending the rules to you guys right now. Echolocation, that'd be sick. Okay. How does a sawfish's saw detect prey? They don't detect prey. Electric charge, hairs on their rostrum, or they have extra eyes. Oh no, misclicks. Smed, thank you. The correct answer is electric charge, which was surprising to me. Very cool. 91 of you got that correct. I got it wrong on purpose. Someone told me false info. Yeah, there were a bunch of people in chat saying hairs to trick you. Who got it right the fastest? Side ramen. Well done. The next question is, according to Jasmine, how big can a sawfish get? Is it 25 feet? Is it 40 feet? Is it 16 feet? Or is it 5 feet? From tip to tail. LP's upset. Oh no. The correct answer is up to 16 feet. Danny, no! The correct answer is up to 16 feet. I don't know why I wrote that one like that. Congratulations. 145 people got that correct. Who measures feet? We talked about it last stream. We're doing it in the metric, or in the units that the guest uses. Show scores. Who got that one right? The fastest? Squid. But who's in the lead? Side ramen still. Well done. Yeah, Riz is in second. Remy is in second in total. Next question is, what predators do sawfish have to worry about? Adult sawfish. What predators do adult sawfish have to worry about? Sharks. Manatees. None. Except for humans with a face. Or whales. The correct answer is adult sawfish don't really have predators besides the occasional human. They're apex predators. Josh Williams misclicked. Captain, put the face. 130 people got that right. Well done. I'll get top 5, I hope. Chase, I hope that for you too. Who got that right the fastest? Sorry. Then Mikey the DJ. Then yeah, okay, cool. Total score, Side Ramen is still in the lead. Is somebody gonna pull ahead? I just hope I'm not in last place. Me too, Theo. You can do it. Next question. How long do acoustic tags last on sawfish? Is it 20 days? Is it 5 to 10 years? Is it 1 year? Or is it 25 years? I made sure on this question to pull a teacher move because I knew it was going to be on the quiz. And I asked her again during the podcast. Can we start over? No! We can't. Sorry, Gabby. The correct answer is 5 to 10 years for the acoustic tags. $141 people got that correct. Well done. B-Bud is behind. KZ's score is ruined. We have one more question. Who can redeem themselves? Terp got 20K on that one. A perfect score. M-Law, 22 in second. Who's in the lead? Remy! Let's go. Then Milko, and then yeah, okay, cool. Last question. Question number 5. What do scientists predict sawfish populations have dropped to compared to old numbers? So, like, what percent of sawfish populations still exist? Is it 70% still exists? Is it 90%? Is it 1%? Or is it 5%? Chase is shooting for top 5. The correct answer is they've guessed for there to be 5% of sawfish populations that still exist in the wild. It's gone down to 5%. Bernie got it right. The correct answer is 5%. 157 people got that correct. Well done. Chat. Who do you think won the quiz? Remy. Remy did it, and yeah, okay, cool, in a close second. Congratulations, Remy. You want a sub or you want 5? Cal, thank you for the 7. Donate 5. Is Locke here? Oh wait, no, I should just do it because it's their PayPal. It's easy. Never mind. Locke, I'll do it. Donate. $5. Two-factor. Whoops. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I did it. Hooray! $1,862.77. Twitch is an untapped reservoir for doing good. I can't imagine, like, I don't know how much my guests look into the podcast or look into Twitch as a platform, but they must be so confused. Like, do you ever think about that? After an hour of talking, it's just like a very casual conversation. They get like $1,500. Like, when I called her and I was like, oh, we raised $1,000 in the first 10 minutes. She was like, I don't even know if she reacted. She was like so confused. Thank you guys for they'd be more confused if they're looking at chat. I'm not gonna lie to you, I stopped linking it. Snoodles, thank you for the 3 months. I used to link it in Discord and I was like, if you want to try to follow along with the chat, you're welcome to. You're not like, you don't have to. I'll take care of that. And I stopped linking it in Discord because they would just get like people don't read it. The only people that read my chat are like, you know, like Twitch people like Connor and Dobbins and Andrew. And then Spider Guy read my chat. Sebastian read my chat. And Jordan. But Jordan's also like, yeah. Jordan read my chat too. Anyway, okay. That's wonderful. The Spider Guy was cool. Oh my god, he was the best. They're all the best. Yeah. Speaking of the podcast, though, there will not be a podcast next week because I had mentioned it before. I just need a little bit of a break here. I'm going to try to use next week to kind of reset some stuff for myself and sort out the anxiety, whatever, that hasn't gone away on its own. So I think that I need to pay a little bit more attention to that than I was before. So there won't be a podcast next week. I'll still be streaming because streaming is easy and chill, and like I don't really have to plan. The podcast is just like more stuff to handle. You guys would be proud. Today I turned down 3 baby squirrels. I was meant to take, or someone wanted me to take home 3 baby squirrels, but I was like, I don't have the time right now to do it. So I said no, and I delegated the raven release. So I went to the center, I netted the raven, and I asked someone else to drive it to the release location. And so I spent my whole day cleaning my house and like showering and like taking care of my shit and like changing my pillowcases or whatever. So I'm gonna get it sorted out. I just need a week to chill and to do that. So thank you for understanding. I appreciate it. There will be cool guests. Coming up in the future. I have lots of ideas. So, yeah, Bernie. It's Friday. I have the board meeting on Sunday to see if I get voted into the board of directors. I had a conversation with one of the board members on Thursday, and he's like the Raptor guy. And so part of the hesitation for me getting voted in was that the founder didn't want to like step on any toes because that's been his thing for a really long time. And so he pulled me aside at work on Thursday and he basically was like, I'm getting really old and I have been looking for somebody to take over. And he said, I've been watching you and I am impressed with how much you know and what you've been doing at the center. And so I'd be happy for you to do that. So hopefully all goes well on Sunday. I have a new position. So yeah, that was really, really nice to hear from somebody who's been reporting on Raptors there for like 15 years or something. Considering I've only been there for 3 months, 4 months. Yeah, really means a lot. Speaking of which, if you don't follow my Instagram, you should. It's Maya_Higa. I posted a picture of, I posted a video of Tina today on my story, and she's doing miles better. She's like reaching for food now out of my hand. She's still not eating off tongs, but she reaches for solid food out of my hand now. I know I was tube feeding her for a week, but now she's not only eating solids, like being force fed, like I just have to hold them out and she takes them out of my hand. Yeah, Tavian, it is crazy. It's crazy to think about. A week ago she couldn't hold her head up. She was literally like laying with her head flat on the ground. I thought she was dead every time I went in there. So she's made huge changes. I'm so pleased and so proud of what's happening with that bird. I am going to play the outro, but I'm gonna raid Young Llama today. Is there anything that I'm missing talking about? I'm not sure if I'm gonna stream. I don't even want to know what he said. You test me. Brothers, thank you for the sub. Podcast is tomorrow. Oh, that's when I'll see you. Housewives podcast is tomorrow. What time is it? That's a good question. What time is the podcast? Maybe 6? Going to north. Okay, I don't know. I think it's at 6. There will be tweets. What time is the podcast tomorrow? Okay, so I think it's gonna be like 6. Board meeting Sunday. Yeah, so like I'm not gonna drink as much because yeah. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna stream on Sunday. I think that I'm bringing Matt to the rehab center. So if he's down, maybe we'll stream. But I'm not sure. And then I will see you guys on Monday for an IRL. Yeah. The Raven did get released today. I don't have a video of it because I sent a volunteer transporter to release him. But he said it was a beautiful takeoff. He said it was like one of the good ones where it like flies into the sunset kind of takeoff. It wasn't a sunset. It was earlier. It was this morning, but he said it was a really good one. So I'm pretty proud of that. Also, he is ready to go. I tried to net that Raven for half an hour yesterday and I couldn't do it today. I had to get my boss to go out there with me. You guys know that platform? Do you guys remember where I was trying to net the Swainsons? You know how there's a wood platform in there? I had to climb up there. I netted from on top of that platform today. Because the Raven was smart enough to understand that he could fly above us. So I climbed up there and I netted him from the top of the platform. It was nuts. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow for the podcast in the evening. I probably won't make a tweet, but I'll probably retweet one of their tweets. So my Twitter's my Higa6. If you wanna check that out. And I'm excited. It'll be good. Tommy, thank you for the 5. Those podcasts are always fun, so I'm looking forward to that. And don't worry about the mental. I will sort it out. I'm not too worried about not being able to figure it out over the next week. Hello. Is it weird that she likes getting her nails clipped? I feel like most dogs hate that. When I bring out the nail clippers in my bed, she flips over and she puts her legs like this and just lets me like clip all her nails. It's so nice. And then Maverick tried to fucking bite me today, so freaking bite me today. They're different. Anyway, all right, I'm getting off. Podcast. Oh, we don't have a time. She just said I'm free whenever. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot for like, do you guys want me to try to make it earlier? Do you guys want for like, should I ask about like 5 p.m. CT? 4 is probably too early. I'll say it's 5 too early. Okay, so I'll let you guys know tomorrow. It'll be on Twitter. I'm pulling up the outro right now. Hold up. I always feel like I'm forgetting something when I do the podcast. Always. Okay, Adept said 5 is good. We'll figure it out. Find it on Twitter tomorrow. Sorty way! Oh no, we're sending them straight to Young Llama. Chat. Sorry, thank you for the raid. I will see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. I will post updates of Tina on my Instagram story. I will post updates of Craig on my Instagram story. He moved in with another bunny yesterday, so he's very happy. We have 3 squirrels that I may or may not take on. I don't know yet. One of them is leucistic, which means that it's pretty much white, so I'm trying to decide if it's going to be releasable or not. It might get darker, it might not. I can't decide. It's very confusing. that may be a part of the stream. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, follow my Instagram for animal stuff. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Thank you so much for the donations and for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Bye. My cam's still gonna be here. Hold on. Bye. Bye. Working in exotics, 4 years ago or something like that? Working at zoos and getting internships and stuff like that. Then I fell in love with birds of prey at one of the zoos that I interned at.
One of the most popular streamers right now.
This is Jupiter. He's a barn owl.
That is insane!
Oh, 1.3K.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
for donating. Thank you for
I'm literally tearing up. Oh, because, alright, this is not supposed to happen.
Twitch is an untapped reservoir for doing good. I will send you this cute thank you card. It has some names of some donators and some viewers on it.
That's awesome.
And I'll tweet this out to
We're
you.
super excited. 22. That's awesome.
Those of you who donate, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and it means the world to those guests. It's still really important that you're here and that you're watching, and that's amazing also. I think I started the raid too late. I forgot. I was looking at something. Shit. I started working in exotics, 4 years ago or something like that? Way too late! Oh no! It's fine. Again? I'm kidding. We'll just give it like 6 seconds or something like that. How's the weather? It was 68 degrees here today, which is crazy. If you're in California, I'm sorry about the weather. But yeah, I don't know what's going on in Texas. It's like cold. I wore a sweatshirt all day yesterday. Cool. Forget it, Tooth.